It's horrible to go. I can't even imagine when you're there. I have no desire. Last year, we'll never go back. Yeah. It was so beautiful. It was good as your symbol. Yeah. Did you fly in? So are you all staying in the same place? Hi, Ramon.
I'm not talking because it'll come out in the video.
Oh, I know.
You know how it is in Hollywood. And Lasse is here.
¿Qué pasa la raza?
Señor Carrillo.
He had some problems relating to more heart problems than anything else. Yeah, that's a big
I retired from Thomas Estate a couple of years ago, but I met George at the university, and we were both involved with the Chicano Latino Faculty and Staff Association, and we had the Galarza scholarships. Well, George started providing scholarships for community college students through the Galarza Institute, and he would allow us to select the students for the scholarships, and he was always thinking about students and funding them, and so he was a great supporter of our scholarship.
And how long were you at San Jose State?
I was there 30 years.
From 18 what?
From 1492, 1992, and I met him there after a couple of years.
And then you retired from there when?
Yeah, in 2021.
What was the school like in 1992, and what was it like in 2021? What happened during that time?
In 1992, the EOP program was very strong, one of the biggest programs, and that's where I started working with the technical division for EOP. And a lot of students, the program had a lot of students. But by 2021, the program really was very minimal. And that's because they said the numbers of Chicano students and black students, minority students was so huge that the whole school had to provide services to them and not just a specialized program. So it had changed, but at the same time, students, what didn't change is the need that students had, and we recognized that. And one of the biggest needs was money, and so we always were making sure that we provided scholarships to deserving students, and that they worked in the Chicano community. And it wasn't just a scholarship for good grades, it was for your involvement in the Chicano community, and how do you volunteer in the community, and what is it? And it was in the spirit of Dr. Galarza, and that's what Dr. Castro always wanted, for students to remember Dr. Galarza and also to always give back.
So Janina Espinosa, I'm the faculty at Evergreen Valley College, part of the Enlace Coordinating Committee. And I met George Castro, Dr. George Castro, because I always called him Dr. George Castro, about the students at Evergreen and making an impact. And he was a mentor for the Enlace students. And that's how I met George, that he was very passionate about supporting the Enlace program through scholarships, through mentorship. Amazing man, legacy status. So that's how I know Dr. George Castro. Every time we met, it was a hello, let's catch up at our office meeting. So amazing man.
What did he do for Evergreen Valley College that people need to know? People don't know.
Well, for one thing, he was part of the Enlace founding fathers, as we call them. Dr. Victor Garza himself, Dr. Mauro Chavez, Dr. Angela Atondo, and Richard Legua. So he was part of the think tank, if you will, to start Enlace and making a difference and impact to our Chicano Latino students to transfer. As a result, the program has been now 41 years, still going strong and still needing more mentors. So out there, people, if you want to mentor Chicano students, please reach out to Enlace.
First of all, one of the things that you spoke about is that George always dealt with how do you pay the bill. You can dream, pobrecitos, we're downtrodden. Somebody has to pay the bill because there's no other way to get schooling because it costs money. So one of the things I remember is George worked for many years to make Evergreen and San Jose City Hispanic serving institutions. You know, people, we all know about the historic black colleges, but in the United States, the way that the Latinos got into these programs is universities that serve 25% Latinos. They got federal money, annually, deep money, and that's what he did for the community colleges here.
Absolutely. He wrote 2 grants for the HSI Institution for Enlace and was funded $5 million plus.
Yes.
So yes, very instrumental in that grant.
Yeah.
That was amazing, and we did a lot of great work together and had just a great opportunity to empower our students, to transfer them and provide them with the resources, educationally speaking, tutorial services, faculty teaching Latino students.
The other thing I was going to say about your comment is that George said George was about rigor. That means he used to say, Ramon, the kids need science and algebra, and if they don't have it by the 8th grade, they're not going to college. They're not going to graduate. Stop dreaming. They must have rigor. And in those days, George sounded very like he was elite. But George was not, he worked to do science opportunity for everybody. He set up science labs in elementary schools so that kids could get the science. Because he would tell me, Ramon, I remember when I first met you, you guys used to go and scream and yell at the schools. He says, now, the community needs to come and scream and yell at you because you're now in charge of the school and the need is still the same. The kids have to have the rigor. So programs like Enlace, that's what they mean, is that the kids, it wasn't about let's get them to go to college. It's, they must graduate at the top level. And that's what George was about. And I'm sure the same at San Jose State.
You know, one of the things about our scholarship with the Galapsa Scholarships and the Galapsa Institute is that although he got a lot of the federal money, you know, undocumented students couldn't get federally funded scholarships. So one of the things that we made sure that our scholarship was one of the first ones that did not check documented status. And we made sure that undocumented students was important because we were not federally funded. It was a money that we raised ourselves from donors who did not have that kind of requirement for federal funding. So we gave our money to eligible students that were deserving, regardless of status. So that was very important.
Thank you.
Sure, Frank Espinosa. I actually didn't do very well in high school. I dropped out of high school when I was about 16 years old. So after a number of dead-end jobs, I I went back to school, and I'm a proud alumni of the San Jose Metropolitan Adult Education Program. Fast forward, I have a doctorate from the University of San Francisco in International and Multicultural Education. So I was blessed to have crossed paths with Dr. Castro. Really, my encounter of meaningful encounters with Dr. Castro was the result of Title V grants that Professor Richard Regua and Dr. Castro were able to successfully bring to Evergreen Valley College's Enlace program. Over the course of, maybe 10 years, they brought in approximately, give or take, about $6.5 million to Evergreen Valley College. And it was really under the Enlace program that a lot of the work happened. So Dr. Castro, in his role as, I believe he was the dean or associate dean at San Jose State University, collaborated with Enlace, and the goal was to increase the number of Latino students who not only successfully transferred to San Jose State University, but would graduate from the university, because unfortunately, San Jose State University, which I'm an alumni of as an undergraduate student, didn't have a very positive success rate among the many Latino students who would transfer there. And so we were, again, fortunate to have had Dr. Castro and Professor Richard Regua to collaborate, and I was working closely with both of them. And we're really proud of the results that happened. And we have institutionalized some of the activities that happened under the grant there at Evergreen Valley College. So Dr. Castro's legacy continues to this day over at Evergreen Valley College, in particular with the Enlace program.
Tell me about one memory you have of the man.
We heard earlier from one of his mentees, Dr. Fabio Gonzalez, talk about his willingness to spend genuine time with various individuals. In this case, Fabio. He made you feel important. And
Tell me about a time he was genuine with you.
I had an opportunity to visit Dr. Castro at a middle school, Joseph George, at the end of East Hills Drive, a middle school that I didn't even know existed. And I went there to go see him, and in his humble little office there at that middle school, we're talking about a PhD renowned in his field, spending time with these kids. And I looked at Dr. Castro, and I was a bit surprised at how excited he was working with these kids. And he says, you know what? If we don't give back to the little ones, our future is not going to look very bright. And that stuck with me. That stuck with me to this day. And I was very humbled when I heard that from the man, Dr. George Castro.
Tell me about a time about the human being and you.
Well, we spent a lot of times in meetings together where he came as an advisor, and he was a mentor in the program, like I said, in the Enlace program. And he was just down to earth. You could talk to him. Like Frank was saying, the PhD, the guy who developed the technology for the printer, all of that preceded him. But when you sat down with him, he talked to you face to face, down to earth. You would never expect, if you didn't know ahead of time, that he had those credentials, because he was so approachable, he was unpretentious, and you could talk about anything with him, and then he would, have that conversation. That when I ran into him at San Jose State, at that time, I had a master's degree, and I was enrolled in a doctoral program at Oregon State. I shared that with him. And when he told me about that school district, he just looked at me and said, why don't you join me in examining this data? But again, that personal touch, he showed what would I call it, value for me. It reinforced my identity that Dr. George Castro was asking me to collaborate with him. So I think that's the most personal thing that I can say.
I want to get in here because talking to you guys reminds me, like Fabio mentioned, he told you what he thought, and doesn't matter who you were, he would tell you what was on his mind about you. I remember when we were in college, the Chicano Revolution was just around the corner, so we didn't even have to go study because the revolution was any day, 1970. And he used to come and tell us, go to class. Then I used to harass George because he was a scientist wearing suits. Those of you who know the 1960s and 70s, he looked like Omar Sharif, the movie star of that time. But he came in his suits, and we used to harass him saying, nice suit, Dr. Castro, while the people are hungry. Many years later, when I was a small bureaucrat in a school district, he came to see me about, like you guys said, raising money, writing grants for math and science education in Eastside District and San Jose Unified. Anyway, he came to talk to me about it, and as he was leaving out the meeting, he said, Ramon, nice suit. Got anything to add?
All right, everybody, thank you for coming. Like I mentioned before, I'm Cynthia Castro-Sweet. I'm George's youngest daughter. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for being patient. My father passed away a couple of months ago, and we wanted to do it right. We wanted to celebrate him in the way that he deserves, so that took a little extra time to get this beautiful venue and get you all gathered here today. So thank you all for coming. You know, when we were inviting people and kind of figuring out who we should notify, I'll be honest, we didn't really know a lot of the names we knew of. Most of you here, but I don't think George's kids really had met most of my dad's colleagues and people that he encountered. We knew he had a big fan club. We kind of suspected there would be a lot of interest in people coming, and your presence here today, I think, really confirms just how much he was loved and how many people were touched by his life. So thank you so much for being here. And I was putting together this event, and I was looking at the size of the guest list and all the people that wanted to come. I thought, like, my long-standing thought about planning this event is like, it's a good thing my dad is not here because he would have hated this. He would have been mortified by all of this fuss and all of this extravagance for him. He wouldn't want no part of this. He'd be sitting in the way back, wanting to like just hide into the corner and not have everybody focused on him. So I'm sure he is really glad that he is not here, but we're really glad that you're all here so that we could celebrate him in the way that he deserves. And I was trying to think about, like, I wanted to find a good way to sort of acknowledge my dad and celebrate him. And you're going to hear from a lot of people who have some really lovely things to say about my dad, but I thought I wanted to do something just slightly different. So if you could maybe indulge me for the next minute, I'm going to ask you, when the time is right, I'm going to ask you to give my father some applause. So feel free to clap for him when I ask you to. If you're so inclined, feel free to give him a standing ovation. I just wanted to give him the cheers and the celebration that I think his life really deserves. So I'm going to read out a list of things that are worthy of applause, and if some of these apply to you, I'm going to give you the signal. Let's all give him a round of applause. So if my father ever helped you with something related to your education, that is going to be worthy of applause. If he ever helped you with something financial, either with advice or an offer, that is also worthy of applause. If he was ever a good role model or a father figure for you, give him some applause. And if you ever had a moment with my dad where he made you feel important or good about yourself, give him a applause. Let's give George a last round of applause and a standing ovation. Did I jerk a tear out of a couple of you? Thank you. I thought that might be a good emotional release for us, like, you know, just kind of help us let it get it out. And I do want to end my piece with some special thanks for some people. First of all, I want to thank my siblings, Valerie, Sylvia, and Gerald. You know, when my dad started to have major health issues, we all had to step in a different way. And we all kind of like, at times we're either bumping into each other or avoiding each other, trying to figure out how to, you know, find our rightful spot to be contributing to help take care of my dad. But I just want to thank my siblings that we worked it out. We're still, you know, tight and a solid family, despite all of our challenges and trying times together. So I wanted to thank the three of you. I especially want to thank my sister, Valerie. My dad had a very soft spot for Valerie all through her life, through her childhood. And I'm about 1.5 years younger than Valerie, so I got to witness my dad's just special soft spot for her. And my dad was always, you know, keeping a special eye out for Valerie in a way that was really precious. And I would say there were times in her life where she gave him the most trouble. So it was kind of fitting that at the end, Valerie was the one who really rose to the occasion, to take the front place, to really be the hands-on, day-to-day person when it came time to help my dad. When we needed her the most, she really showed up for us, and we're very grateful for that. So thank you, Valerie. And I also want to thank, we had a special team of, we call them Don Jorge's Angels. We had a team of caregivers who were there 24/7, around the clock, in the home with my mom and my dad to take care of my dad's every need. Gisela is one of them. Gracias, Gisela. And Onassis, and Maria, and Alejandra. Every family should be so fortunate to have women like that to be there for your parents in your time of need. So we're very grateful to you. So I know there are a lot of people here who probably have things they would love to say about my dad, but we can't be here all day. We only have the venue till 2. So we did ask a couple of people in particular to come up and share a few words about my father. So first of all, I'd like to call up Dr. Ramon Martinez.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. I'm Ramon Martinez, and I was 25 years old when I met George when I came to San Jose in 1972. And we were the kids who knew nothing. We thought we knew stuff. We knew nothing. And George and his friends, many of you that are here, Castro, I remember Leo Rivera, they took all of us because they knew that, well, we needed to know. And so that's when I met George. The other thing I want to say is that I was visiting my family in Bakersfield this weekend, and we were talking about how our parents raised us with only one guiding thing they told us. God is watching. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter where you go, God is watching. All of you here are icons, like Dr. Castro. Every one of you, I know that because I've been around long enough to know that this story is made up of all of you. I was going to say, like God is watching, there's no place in this valley that you can't encounter George. So all I'm saying is, for example, those of you knew him in his work, in his science work, in his technical work. Some of you knew him in his college work. Some of you knew him in his elementary school work. Some of you knew him in some school board elections. But he was part of everything. And all I want to say is that it is important that we remember and record these legacies. My identity these days is I'm from the Raza Historical Society, but the culture doesn't know what you did, and they must know. So please don't hesitate when the university that's always collecting information, some of us are walking around collecting, please do not be embarrassed to say, tell us your story. Lastly, I just want to say about George. I spent the last couple of years helping bury a lot of the old guys that we used to hang around with, because in the 70s it was just the guys. The world has changed, right, Blanca? Yeah. And I was just going to say that he, I'm losing my train of thought. I'm trying to get at that George never honked his horn, like she was saying. I just was saying, I spent the last 2 years burying a lot of the old timers, Victor Garza and others, and they worked on their legacy. They made sure they're in every video, every monument, every plaque. They made sure. George did not. So it is our responsibility to help remember George and everything that, because we're remembering you, everything you did, because it's too much. It can't be contained in one little talk. Lastly, I just wanted to point out that he's touched all the generations. I was talking to a 13-year-old kid back there, Dominic Barrientos, and he told me he and his two brothers, knew George Castro. And so, Dominic, you are a historic monument because they went to his laboratories, that set up. And so, all of you and George sent Dominic and tens of thousands that we don't know into the future. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Martinez. All right, next I'd like to invite up Dr. Fabio Gonzalez.
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes a todos.
My name is Jaime Gallardo, and I practice law here in San Jose. And I'm now retired, but still hanging around and trying to figure out what's going on in the world. But anyway, I'm here at the George Castro Memorial, I guess, and one of the things that I'm very happy to see is that he was one of the early pioneers in this area of science. In fact, my own daughter is a doctor, medical doctor, and I never even realized that she was involved in all this science stuff. So I'm really happy that it's much bigger than I ever thought, and it's going to get bigger. And so I hopefully many of these students that are listening to me will get involved in science, and who knows, the next George Castro, another medical doctor could be at hand. So I really appreciate being here.
Where did you go to elementary, middle school, and high school?
I went to Overfeld High School, William C. Overfeld High School, and I am very happy to tell people that. So a lot of folks that I know that went to that high school have gone on to become lawyers and doctors. So
what kind of a student were you in high school?
I was an honor student at Overfeld High School. It wasn't hard to do. I mean, it was all Latinos, all Mexicanos, and all you really had to do was just keep your nose to the ground. Don't go through drug alley, which we used to call it, and stay away from all that stuff. And we were all right, we were all right. So I was really happy, and I was really lucky and very fortunate to get to Santa Clara University, of all places. And from there, I was also very fortunate to go to law school. And so now I'm a lawyer, and I've been practicing law for quite a while.
You went to law school at Santa Clara?
No, I went to law school at the University of California, Bolt Hall at the time, the Berkeley Law School. And interestingly enough, when I got out, I think there was only about 10 Latino lawyers or less in Santa Clara County. And now I can't even imagine how many there are, and I'm really happy to know that law school has been an option for so many.
Why did you want to be a lawyer?
Well, there's a lot. The first thing is this. At the time, the idea of becoming a successful, financially successful lawyer was not part of the equation. The equation then was, can you use your professional knowledge, your degree, to help make changes in the community? And that was my purpose. In fact, my entire career was always aimed in that direction, to help and to provide leadership. And that's one of the things about getting a good education, is that you become a leader. And that's one of the things that we're lacking right now, is we have too many opportunistic people in our community who think that being a leader is about getting a lot of money, but it's not. Being a leader is about leading and providing optimism for growth and for people to look for change. So that's one of the things that I've always had in my legal work. I've never really intended it to be a gateway to make a lot of money to live in some big giant ranch. Who knows? Anyway.
Hola, mucho gusto. Adrián Espinosa. I'm an alumni of San Jose State University.
Joel Rivera, alumni of San Jose State University.
Joel's a great friend of mine, and I was mentioning to Joel, aside from us having a connection with Dr. Castro, an amazing man that he is and was, he inspired me in many ways, and now actually I was able to fulfill one of my dreams to be a medical practitioner. So I'm actually a family nurse practitioner now, and thanks to Dr. Castro supporting our journey and giving us trabajo, mentoring us, etc. And I was also mentioning that I would love to be able to share our story and pay it forward. We started a national organization titled the Society of Latinx Nurses, SOLEN, 2 years ago. It's founded here in Santa Clara, but we're national, and we'd love at some point to be able to share that information with our community and get more Latinos into nursing.
You are a native of San Jose?
Born and raised in East San Jose, off
Where'd
of
you go to school?
I went to Hubbard Elementary, then I went to Joseph George Middle School, and then I went to Edward Hill High School. And then I went to San Jose State.
When did you graduate from San Jose State?
San Jose State, I graduated in 2003 with my bachelor's in biology, and 2007 with my master's in public health.
Thanks.
Very close family from Mesa.
And how are you related to all of this?
He was the head of the Mesa program at Joseph George Middle School.
Yeah, he helped assist us.
So all three of our sons, Paul, Max, and then Dominic, for the beginning of last year? 2 years ago, 6th grade. So yeah, we all three of our sons had the privilege of being a part of Dr. Castro's life, part of Mesa.
What's your name?
Dominic Barrientos.
So did you use the lab behind the school?
Yeah, at Joseph George.
Tell us about the lab.
The lab was pretty unique for it. It gave us an opportunity to do something fun in the after school instead of just going to the after school and just doing snack, homework, and something else. You actually got to do something engaging, and you got to do lots of science projects.
Competition?
Competition, science. Got to go to San Jose State. Yeah.
I remember when walking in there were all the work tables with all the equipment. Everybody had their own stuff. Then you had the computer section.
Oh, yeah.
What did you guys do in the computer section?
That was used for, I forgot what the project was called, but it was used for, the section was called computer science, and you did research on like plants. The one I did, I placed first place in, was the
plants. It was something about the, I forgot. But it was about the plants, and basically we did research on the plants and how to make it better. And like talking to plants makes them grow better, and we did our research on that.
So tell me about Dr. Castro.
From our,
Was he a friendly, fuzzy fellow?
Yes, he was. I have a few memories of him because I've only seen him like a few times in 6th grade because he wasn't really there in 6th grade. But when I went to pick up my brothers, I used to see him and he used to greet me.
Yeah, it's unfortunate our 2 older sons weren't able to be here today because they were working and they have. So I'm Ron Barrientos, father of 3 boys that went to Joseph George Middle School, and the first 2 were able to attend MESA programs for their entire middle school time with Dr. Castro and Alba, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and physics, and I thought it was, something good for them. Kept them out of trouble. Not really an after school, like he said, just homework. They both spoke very highly of Dr. Castro. My oldest son is the one who signed us up for today, and just wanted to make sure we were able to come and pay our respects to him.
What are your sons' names?
Paul Joseph, Max Alexander, and Dominic Luke.
And so tell me about each one and what they're doing now. How old are they and what are they doing?
So 24 years old. Paul's 24 years old. He went to San Jose State for his first 2 years after he graduated. He's taking a break right now. He works in the warehouse industry right now. He's a professional receiver. He's been in that workforce for about 6 years. He's looking to go back to school, and I think he wanted to do environmental engineering. My second son, Max, is 19 years old. He's going on his 2nd year at San Jose State University as well. And I believe he's doing a field of engineering himself. And Dominic, our 3rd son, is an 8th grader, and we're trying to figure out where he's going to go for high school. So I'm Ron Barrientos, father of 3 boys that went to Joseph George Middle School. And the first 2 were able to attend MESA programs for their entire middle school time with Dr. Castro and Alba, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and physics, and I thought it was, something good for them. Kept them out of trouble. Not really an after school, like he said, just homework. They both spoke very highly of Dr. Castro. My oldest son is the one who signed us up for today, and just wanted to make sure we were able to come and pay our respects to him.
What are your sons' names?
Paul Joseph, Max Alexander, and Dominic Luke.
And so tell me about each one and what they're doing now. How old are they and what are they doing?
So 24 years old. Paul's 24 years old. He went to San Jose State for his first 2 years after he graduated. He's taking a break right now. He works in the warehouse industry right now. He's a professional receiver. He's been in that workforce for about 6 years. He's looking to go back to school, and I think he wanted to do environmental engineering. My second son, Max, is 19 years old. He's going on his 2nd year at San Jose State University as well. And I believe he's doing a field of engineering himself. And Dominic, our 3rd son, is an 8th grader, and we're trying to figure out where he's going to go for high school.